Throughout the state of Minnesota, over 500 teams begin the quest tonight. The ultimate goal, a 6-game winning streak and a state championship. Chisago Lakes and Totino Grace meet here in Fridley for the Section 4 Class 4A quarterfinal. For the winner tonight, it's a matchup with Spring Lake Park, the #1 seed. The Panthers get the first round bye, and this year the first of 6 class football in Minnesota. And the Panthers are rated #1 in the state. The final Associated Press poll has Spring Lake Park rated first. Another Section 4 team, North St. Paul, 17th in the most recent ratings. So tonight, the winner, looking at the Panthers on Saturday night, but that's the least of their worries, as these two teams get it on here this evening. And if Chisago Lakes is going to pull off the upset, they're going to have to be able to stop the Eagles' big gun, and that's Brian Hopkins, a fine running back in his 3rd season for the Eagles. And you look at some of the numbers that he has compiled throughout his career, 51 touchdowns in a 3-year career. Steve Varley joins me tonight, and Steve, this is the man for the Eagles. If he has a big night tonight, it's going to be tough for the Wildcats to stop them.
No, you're exactly right. Brian Hopkins is the full package. He's extremely fast and big. He's a very physical runner. As you say, 51 touchdowns. Once he gets near the goal line, he runs right to it, and he just is always leaning forward, getting the extra yard. Just a great back.
The Eagles have had some great backs over the years here at Totino Grace, but Coach Dave Niggin said flat out, this is the best we've had. You can't argue with those kind of numbers, the 2,500 yards, and this year in just 6 games, 674 yards and 18 scores.
No, I started a couple games late, came back real strong, averaging over 100 yards, 112 in the year, per game, excuse me. He is just extremely fast. He hits the hole very well, and in this wing T type offense, he reads his blocks well and gets up the field and is able to make the cut for the score.
Now, the Eagles have a quarterback who is not going to beat you very often with his arm, but he'll beat you with his legs. 8 touchdowns rushing this year for Joe Thorvig. He's a weapon, even though the Eagles are not going to light it up with big-time passing numbers.
No, exactly. He's very balanced. When you're getting the ball to Hopkins so many times, he lulls him to sleep. He can either pull it, put it on his hip, and run around the end, or he can bring it up top, and the wing T offense get a tight end down the middle, wide open, and he's been able to hit him. He's very balanced in the run and the pass. He's second-year starter. He's leading the team.
On the other side of the football, the Wildcats will run a little bit of a different look at you. It's a version of the Air Force broken bone, they call it. And anytime you run any kind of option offense, the wishbone, even the wing T, the key is the fullback. Nick Johnson's the man the Wildcats will try and get established inside early.
No, you're right. They've gone to him all year. When you hit that fullback quick in the middle, he's sometimes getting the secondary before you even know where the ball is. They extremely good job of carrying out their fakes through the Wildcats they have through the air and come out of the Rum River. They're looking for an upset tonight.
The man that they've had their big plays from this season is their halfback, Ben Post. 14 touchdowns this year for Post. This is a team that scored only 20 touchdowns throughout the season. He has 14 of them.
No, they go right to him towards the goal line. You know what's going to happen. He's a very quick back, complements Johnson real well. They want to establish Johnson early so they can get the ball to Post around the outside, as everyone will key on Johnson up the middle.
Wildcats have never been to a state tournament. The Eagles have been there 3 times in the last 5 years. The playoff run starts tonight. We'll be back with the opening kickoff on this Section 4 quarterfinal in just a moment.
Choice for top Hollywood entertainment. With pay-per-view, the hits come right into your home, hassle-free, instantly. It's the easy way to treat friends and family to first-run fun. And everyone watches for one low price, making pay-per-view one of the best entertainment values around. Just pick the showing you want to see and follow the simple pay-per-view ordering instructions. Before you know it, you'll be enjoying the movie of your choice right in your home. Big hits, small price. There's nothing to it when you pay-per-view it.
Playoff version of Prep Football 97 here on KABL. Sit back and enjoy this one with Steve Varley and Mark Zimbrowicz. I'm Anthony LaPanta. The Eagles have been to the section final 6 seasons in a row. If they're going to make it 7 in a row, they have a tall task in hand. That's a win tonight and then another win Saturday against the state's #1 ranked team. But the Eagles have been playing their best football of the year as of late, working on a 4-game winning streak. And here's Brian Hopkins with the opening kick. He gets to the outside and has a good field position for the Eagles out across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Let's set that Eagle offensive unit for you. Craig Nelson, Steve Bazal, Blake Norman, Dominic Rossini, and Terry Sullivan up front. The quarterback is Joe Thorvig, the running backs, Hopkins, Banks, and Lindstroth, and the receivers are Hall and Keenan. Good field position for the Eagles to begin this first offensive series. Dave Niggin on the sidelines, hoping his team can reach the state tournament for the 3rd time in 4 years. Hopkins off the right side, breaks a couple of tackles. Hopkins into the secondary, could go all the way. One man to beat, and he beats him up the sideline. Touchdown Eagles on the first offensive snap. A 60-yard run by Brian Hopkins.
Well, we're not even able to get the defensive starters for Chisago, and they're down 6-0. It's just what we talked about the pregame. Hopkins is a classic sweep there out of the wing tee. They get both guard and tackle on the backside clean through the Chisago front side, and Hopkins does the rest. Breaks a tackle once he gets in the secondary. As you can see here, hit the guard out front. Hopkins cuts back. Just a great job once he gets into the secondary, and then it's just all speed from there. Excellent blocking and a great run by Hopkins.
Extra point attempt coming from Andy Frost, and the kick is up and good. And the Eagles have jumped out to a 7-0 lead, just 1 play into this football game. Brian Hopkins, his 52nd career touchdown, his 19th here in 1997.
Well, if you watch it again, both the guards, they do a little misdirection there. The linebacker for Chisago must be keying on those. Linebackers, they false read on the left side, and Hopkins just takes it there. Just an excellent cutback once he got in the secondary.
Chad Olson, the last Wildcat that had a shot at him, but missed him. Not much of a scoring drive. 1 play, 60 yards, 21 seconds into this game. It's the Eagles 7 and the Wildcats nothing, and Chisago Lakes will now get the football for the first time. Well, this is tough when you're the underdog coming into a game like this to fall behind this quickly. It'll be interesting to see how their offense responds. The Wishbone certainly not built for come-from-behind football. Frost to kick it off for the Eagles. Double safeties deep for Chisago. And the kick is a deep wobbler. Andy Scari fumbles it, now regains control and is stopped after a very short run back. The Wildcats will begin from their 29-yard line. The Chisago offense looks like this up front. Andy Arfman at left tackle. Big Joe Anderson, 262 pounds at left guard. Joe Eichten, Jeff Mallory, Josh Stevenson across the offensive front. David Wahutka is the quarterback. The fullback is Nick Johnson. The tailbacks, Eitzen and Post. The receivers, Scari and Rambozic. The wishbone formation. And on first down, they go straight ahead with the fullback, Nick Johnson. Gain of a couple out across the 30. And it'll be second down, 7 to go for the Wildcats. The Eagles defensively. Up front, Craig Nelson, Kevin Gartland, John Darris, and Kevin Paris. The linebackers, Brian Keenan, sophomore Spencer Cohn in the middle, and Steve Bazal. The secondary, Jude Schmidt, Nick Dahlberg, Tim Newman, and Dan Keenan. 2nd and 7 after the 3-yard gain by Johnson. Johnson again straight ahead. He's wrestled to the ground at the 39-yard line, but that's enough for a Wildcat first down.
And we'll see a lot of Johnson tonight. We talked about the pregame where Johnson has to establish that middle, just the initial dive first in the wishbone to open things up later in the game for Chisago. They have to get Johnson going, and they have here with 2 consecutive plays of Johnson for the first down. But it has to be tough. You're right, Anthony. It's Chisago coming in here and being down after 1 play, 7-0, when they're so fired up. Emotions are so high now as we go into the playoffs.
7-0 in favor of the Eagles. And this time they give to Itzen, the tailback. And Itzen gains a couple. It'll be 2nd down and 8. Itzen on the season, 347 yards. Couple of touchdowns. Normally, if you talk about wishbone teams, Steve, the better wishbone offenses are the teams that spread the football around, and the Wildcats do that, as here Johnson bangs straight ahead. Johnson, their leading rusher, with 521 yards, both Post and Itzen over 340.
No, you're exactly right. So all 3 of them have been effective, with Johnson doubling up as far as attempts in rushing with 124 of the season. But in order for it to be effective, you have to have a complete package in the backfield, and that's what Chisago thought they had this year and went with the wishbone.
3rd down, 5 for the Wildcats. They're at their own 44-yard line. Wahatka, reverse pivot to his left on the option, and he's hit and dropped. Big hit delivered at the line of scrimmage from several of the Eagle defenders. Wahatka looked like he had room to run, but Craig Nelson, one of the first Eagles there. Watch it again as Wahatka is stopped dead in his tracks.
You saw a lot of that when Ricky Foggy was running the offense in Minnesota. Just an option play going the opposite way. Chisago doing a good job with their fakes, but that time in the pursuit of the Eagles, they're reading their keys well and came up and stuck for the 3rd down stop.
The kick away, Hopkins from his 21, a good move to start it, and he's out across the 30 to the 33-yard line with 8:24 remaining in the first quarter. The Eagles will take to the offensive for the 2nd time. This time they'll start at the 33-yard line. Wildcats defensively look like this. Up front, Nick Johnson, Josh Stevenson, Dan Meir, Eric Bjorklund on the defensive front, John Piper, Jeff Eichten, Ryan Rambasek, and Andy Koonsman, the linebackers. Wahatka, Olson, and Post in the secondary. They give to Hopkins, dancing through traffic across the 35 and out to the 37-yard line. It's a gain of about 5 on the play. Credit the Wildcats for the ability to stop Hopkins on that play.
Well, Mark, what do you say about Hopkins, though? The first play of the game, he takes it down the field and scores on a 60-yard run.
Well, he certainly has that ability to do that, Steve, and it's not really shocking just to watch him do that.
Split backs this time behind Thorvig on 2nd and 5. Play action to Hopkins. Thorvig rolling left, sets up, throws. It is caught by Hall, who crosses midfield and knocked out of bounds at the Chisago 46-yard line. Well, the Eagles don't throw the football very often, but here, Steve, they make a big play.
No, you're right, and here's what experience does for you. Thorvig is rolling to his left. Again, tougher right-handed quarterback, but he waits patiently. Waits till the receivers are open. He sucks the defense in and finds that seam to make a completed pass. That's what a year of experience does for you in high school. It allows you to make plays versus think about the play. You can react to what's given to you from the defense versus just think about the play that you are running.
First catch of the season for Andrew Hall. Here they give to Hopkins up the middle, breaks a tackle, he's still loose, and finally dragged down, but not before he reaches the 34-yard line. He's running through this Wildcat defense as if they're non-existent. That time defensive end Nick Johnson finally tracked him down, and that was 20 yards downfield.
Well, Brian Hopkins certainly possesses those kind of talents, and that's why he missed the first 2 games this year, but still is a leader in the conference in rushing statistics and in touchdowns, because he has this ability to make people miss.
Banks takes it straight ahead this time for the Eagles. Gain of about 8 on the play will bring up 2nd down and 2.
And I think we'll see that play that they ran with Hopkins again when Thorvig followed him up the hole. It's an option play, and Thorvig could have kept the ball himself. It's just they read the tackle, and whatever way the tackle goes, they go the opposite way with either Hopkins or Thorvig.
Here's Hopkins sweeping right into the secondary, and he'll have another first down as he reaches the Wildcat 5-yard line.
Well, you mentioned, Anthony, just like they're not even there. Definitely the Totino Grace offensive line is dominating the line of scrimmage right now. You're seeing linemen get away clean, and we're calling secondary numbers for tackles and not the linebackers in the front seven, which is devastating.
Eagles at the 7-yard line. And a bad start to the night for Hopkins. 98 yards already on the ground. Quick pitch, Hopkins trying to get to the outside. He does, turns it back in for a touchdown.
Surprise, surprise. Brian Hopkins with another touchdown run, and a lot of nice individual effort there. He had to do a little dancing and make a couple of guys miss.
Well, and a dangerous pitch, Mark, and that it's a quick pitch out to left, but you can see from the initial pitch that it was a little further than Thorvig thought. I think.
Well, Hopkins certainly has some nice statistics going here.
Extra point by Frost, up and good. Eagles 14, Wildcats nothing. And it's been the Brian Hopkins show to this point. What a bad start to an evening. Opposition has had the football once. And Hopkins already has 105 yards and a couple of touchdowns.
You see the pitch is quite a ways out there. Hopkins almost too quick with the pitch. Thorvig does a good job of getting the pitch first and then just turning it right north and south and getting in the end zone.
6-play, 67-yard drive for the Eagles. Covered 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Frost will kick it off, and the Eagle defense will try and put the clamps on the Wildcats once more. For the season, the Wildcats averaged about 18 points a game, and here they fumble the kick for the second time, and Johnson pounces on it. Spotted at the 29-yard line, and the Wildcats will start there with 5:20 remaining.
Well, what's most devastating about this score, Anthony, is if you're Chisago Lakes, you're fired up to come in here. You're the underdog, you want to win, and the coaches typically will have 2 or 3 things that they feel will work against the Eagles. Now you're down by 14, and you've been taken totally out of your game plan, especially in the wishbone. There's things that I'm sure they were doing as far as controlling the clock and so on that are no longer a factor. You have to start getting out of your game plan.
And it's hard. Once you get behind as a wishbone team, things become real difficult. You know, I don't think it's quite time to panic yet, but you know, they're going to have to start moving the football here and try to keep it out of Brian Hopkins' hands.
Because that is panic time, then.
Yeah. So right now their best defense is hold on to that thing as long as you can and hopefully go down here and get some points out of it. And they almost are forced to in this possession to get some before giving it back to the Eagles.
Right. I'd be real worried the way they're dominating the offensive line. And talking about the Eagles, they're just completely, anything they've done has been for 4 or 5 yards of crack. I'm not sure what the
Eagles called a timeout with 4 minutes and 56 seconds remaining here in this first quarter. Wildcats will have it from the 29-yard line. 2 Brian Hopkins touchdowns have the Eagles in front 14-0. Wahatka gives it straight ahead. Johnson bowls forward for about 5. It will be 2nd and 5. Well, this Eagle defense has struggled throughout the season this year, but have been playing better and better. You need to look no further than last week's game of 28-7 win for Totino Grace at Cambridge last week. And that brings credibility to the 4-game win streak, which they ride into the playoffs. Johnson straight ahead. Newman finally wraps him up, but it's a gain of about 7 yards and a first down at the 42-yard line.
Well, Anthony, kind of to expound on what you were just saying there, you know, when the Eagles got off to what is a rough start for them, early in the season and playing their first 2 games without Brian Hopkins and then getting him back and getting him into the flow of things. You knew that they were going to sooner or later start to improve and come on, and he is just such a good player that sooner or later you figured that they would get things cranked up.
This time it's Post who breaks loose into the secondary and has a first down at the Eagle 34-yard line. A gain of 25 for Ben Post, his first run of the night.
Well, and there's what we talked about at the beginning. Johnson up the middle, and now it looks like Post is down. Maybe it's just going, knee slams on the ground. It's getting colder here. And may have come down hard in the knee. It looks like he's grabbing that knee, but you know, Johnson all the time up the middle, and all of a sudden Post squeezes through there. Good job of keeping his legs moving. May have gotten a little help from his offensive lineman there, but sneaks out through, and we'll see at the end of the play, or maybe came down hard in the knee. I think on that right knee, just slammed down hard. He should be okay.
They help him off the field, and the Wildcats now with it first down at the Eagle 34-yard line.
And this is what the Cats needed to do. They needed to move the ball on the ground and hang on to it and run a little bit of the clock. And they're going to try to take this one in for a score. And
Johnson takes it straight ahead for about a yard, and that's all. Brian Keenan, the first man there for the Eagles defensively. And it will be second down and 9. But you saw the flaws in the Eagle defense on that last play. This is just not a very physical unit, and they didn't tackle very well. It allowed Post to go for 25.
Well, some of the guys that they had in there last year are awfully hard to replace.
Right. Big shoes to fill.
As well as big shoulder pads to fill.
On second down and 9, a straight off tackle play this time rather than the option that we've seen on just about every other snap. And Magnuson barrels down to the 30. Gain of about 4, and it will be 3rd and 5.
And this is the kind of offense that they wanted to have, not being down 14-0. But this is the kind of thing Chisago can do to you if you're. They're not going to be an explosive offense, but they can control the clock, which is especially what an underdog wants to do, to keep the other offense off the field and get them the crowd out of the game and so on when you're at your home field.
Johnson straight ahead, and he has the first down as he falls inside the 25 and down to the Eagle 23-yard line.
And Johnson's doing a nice job of running up the middle there here on this drive. And when you want to run the wishbone, that's the main thing you need to establish. You've got to be able to run that thing up inside, and this drive here, they've been able to get it going a little bit.
Eagles surrendering 332 yards a game defensively. Wildcats on the march here. Minute and a half remaining, first quarter. Magnuson off the left side. Dragging tacklers with him is going to be close to another first down. Magnuson would rush for only 17 yards all season with an impressive carry here on first down, and it will leave them 2nd and 1.
Well, Magnuson may be calling a little bit more here, depending on what's up with Post's knee as he went down that couple plays ago. But you brought this up earlier, Anthony. You can see he's dragging Tino Grace. I have not seen that in quite some time with the Eagle defense.
Wahatka with a wishbone behind him on 2nd and 1. Long count. Gives to Ibsen, who carries down close to the 5-yard line. Call it the 6. That is a first down for the Wildcats on a gain of 9.
And that Wildcat offensive line, Steve, is really starting to get a surge up front. They're pushing back to Tino defensive linemen, and their backs aren't being touched till they're 2-3 yards over the line of scrimmage right now. You can see they
fancy.
Yeah, nothing fancy at all. They just kind of ran some power football that time, and their line doing a fine job up front.
Straight ahead, Johnson inside the 5, down to the 4-yard line. A gain of a couple, and that may be the final snap of the first quarter. We're down to 18 seconds remaining. And it appears that the Wildcats will try and snap it once more. Second and goal from the 4-yard line, and they will not get another play off. The first quarter comes to a close. The score after one here from Jim Totino Field. The Eagles 14, the Wildcats nothing, but the Wildcats knocking on the door. This is Prep Football 97 on KABL.
Hi, thanks for stopping. At Crown Trophy, we guarantee you 3 things.
The lowest prices, the highest quality, and our family's personal attention.
Remember, Crown Trophy, where everyone wins.
Crown Trophy for the best craftsmanship and the most popular new trophies. We're the designer of the 1997 USA Cup with the best selection of in-stock trophies and medals. Crown Trophy, East Moore Lake Drive, Fridley.
After one quarter in Fridley, the Eagles lead the Wildcats 14-0. Welcome back to Totino Grace High School with Mark Zimbrowicz and Steve Varley. I'm Anthony LaPanta. This is our first playoff edition of Prep Football 97. And the Wildcats with it, second and goal from the Eagle 4-yard line on an impressive drive that started way back at their own 29-yard line. This next snap will be the 10th of the drive, and they've done nothing more than just run it right at the Eagles with success on this march.
Well, and this is what they planned on doing coming in. They knew Brian Hopkins would be very good with the football, and he has been, and this is their best defense right now. Long drives that keep it moving on the ground and eat some clock up. But now they have to capitalize and get some points.
Magnuson takes it about halfway to the goal line. Looks like he is stopped at the 2 and will leave them 3rd and goal from there.
No, and you mentioned going right at them, Anthony. The Chisago Lace centers and guards are extremely big, so they're able to establish that. Plus Johnson being a back at 6 feet 195, it's easy to see why he's racked up the yards that he has. They're big up front in that middle part of the line, and they're very well skilled as they proved on this drive.
3rd and goal. Johnson straight ahead, in for the touchdown. A 2-yard touchdown run. And the Wildcats are on the board. It's now 14-6 with 11:22 remaining in the half.
Well, an impressive drive. I think that would be the 13th play of the drive.
11.
11, okay. It's a couple of...
But in the same neighborhood, and that's the point, is that this is a very impressive, time-consuming drive. And Jared Larson on for the point after, and he just does sneak it over the crossbar. Johnson with a 2-yard run. Jared Larson adds the point after, and the Eagle lead cut in half. It's now Totino Grace 14 and Chisago Lake 7.
Well, now the offense, Mark, has done their job, but the defense is going to have to stop this Eagle offense. And I think if they do that, then it's an entirely different game. The momentum may have shifted, or we're now into a football game versus, you know, just shell-shocked and wide-eyed kind of kids.
Right, and that was such a key drive for them. And you know, we said it was almost imperative that they score that time, or things could get ugly here in a hurry. And as we see the touchdown score again, they ate up 6 minutes on 11 plays. You know, that is wishbone football, and so now they feel like, hey, we did the things that we wanted to do offensively. This may give their defense a little bit of a surge.
Larson to kick it off. Hopkins takes it on a hop at the 15-yard line. And this time the Wildcats have good coverage, but Hopkins still managed to fight his way out to the 28-yard line. Well, the drive, as nice as it was, means nothing if the defense cannot figure out a way to put the clamps on number 34.
Right. And figure out a way is right. I'm not sure, would you kick it to Hopkins, Mark, if you're on the, especially the way he's run back the first couple of kicks?
No, you're just as good off going for an onside kick.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're kicking it to him.
Wing backfield. They give to Lindstroth, sweeping left. And he goes forward for a couple out to the 30-yard line. It will be 2nd down and 8.
Well, Lindstroth's a sophomore. They're extremely excited about him. A couple sophomores in the backfield, as Hopkins did a couple years ago, getting valuable experience in playoff time.
Eagles starting 3 sophomores for the first time since 1974.
That's when you were here, right, Anthony?
I don't know that I was even old enough to think about football. Banks explodes up the middle and is gone for the touchdown. Nearly untouched, 70 yards for the score. The second touchdown run of the year for Alex Banks.
And that's a tremendous way to answer a touchdown by Chisago, is to break off a big play like that. And Banks did a fine job as he exploded through the hole that time, and no one was going to catch him once he saw the end zone.
And much like Chisago wants to establish their middle game, this play here, the quick trap up the middle, has to be established in order for the wing T to work. This allows Hopkins to get free in the sweep.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, almost untouched as he just knifed his way through the line.
They're very excited about Banks as well. Frost adds the conversion. It is now 21-7 for the Eagles. Banks, just a junior, got a late start this year. Did not start practicing with the team until the Monday of their first game week. So it took him a couple of weeks, obviously, to get into the flow offensively, and went through a process where he's learning his plays on the field on game night. But he has had some big nights for the Eagles down the stretch, averaging over 7 yards a carry, and they feel like he may be able to fill in the shoes of Brian Hopkins next season.
Well, he certainly looks like it on this run here, and you know, there wasn't much to know about the play.
Right.
Ball, straight ahead, go.
Exactly.
So, and he did that well.
And extremely tough, as you said, Anthony, coming out late in the season. You don't get the benefit of going step by step through the plays. And coming out that first week, you have to kind of piecemeal your learning process.
Frost kicks it off. Wobbler, fumbled. It's the third time that the Wildcats have fumbled the kick. And it's a cold night, or fobbled it, one or the other.
Yeah.
Scary manages to pounce on it, and they will start at their 25-yard line. 9:56 remaining, first half, and the Wildcats have yet to even slow the Eagle offense. They trail at 21-7 as they start here, 75 yards away from the end zone.
No, they have not found the answer, nor nothing as far as slowing them down at all, as we saw in that last run by Banks. What happens here is, you know, sometimes if you're behind by this much, you want to start to maybe go into a no-back offense, or excuse me, a no-huddle offense, just try to do something to screw up the defense. But if you're a wishbone, there's not much to prepare for as a defense. You have your reads, you're probably balanced across the front line.
First down for the Wildcats. Alex Banks on the Eagle sideline after his 70-yard touchdown run. Here Wahatka keeps it. Face mask will add to the end of this play. Newman got him up around the face guard after a gain of 5 on the play. And the Wildcats will gain a first down with the flag.
Well, a good call there. You can see it right from the booth here. Had to be called, especially even in front of the Totino Grace bench.
Yeah, it was very obvious as Wahatka followed up through the hole that time and decided to keep it on the option. Once again, and this is kind of looks like a little tortoise in the hare.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if we'll have enough time for the tortoise to catch up, though.
Out, mask on the blue, first down, wind it.
Mark Stonga with the call. First and 10 for the Wildcats at the 45-yard line. Johnson straight ahead, a yard, if that.
And the linebackers for Totino did a nice job of, you know, their first responsibility is that dive back, and that time they had guys all over them and did a fine job.
Now, as a defensive back, Mark, how don't you get lulled to sleep? You can watch as you have the one wide receiver for time and time again. You're getting blocked, you're getting blocked, you're getting blocked. How is it that you keep in the game and not get lulled to sleep and come in and get suckered for the long pass?
Well, you know, that's a hard thing, especially if you haven't seen it all year. You feel awkward continually getting run off as we see here, but sooner or later you want to come up and make a play, and you can't do that.
No, you have to stick with your responsibility. I think that'd be tough.
And you know, I think one of the things in this situation is a halfback pass. You know, they can fake to the dive back. It looks like run. He's coming down the line. He pitches. Oh, here it is. Same old option again. No.
3rd and 7. Wahatka keeps it on the option, and Wahatka's into the secondary. Wahatka has one man to beat and beats him. Caught from behind at the 2-yard line. Well, he made a great move in the secondary to get free.
He did, as his blocker didn't do a lot to help him that time. Wahatka made a very nice move, Anthony, and was able to continue to get on upfield. He made a good read at the line of scrimmage, too.
An excellent read. You can see that move in full stride.
And Ramlett drags him down from behind at the 3-yard line. A 49-yard run by Wahatka has the Wildcats in position to score again. And on 1st down, they run it straight ahead. It looks like Johnson will be stopped short. Maybe a yard for Johnson. But we have not seen the return of Post to the lineup to this point. He's their leading touchdown scorer on the season. We told you in the pregame show, 12 touchdowns rushing, 14 scores overall. Johnson dives in for the touchdown, his 2nd touchdown run of the night. And the Wildcats have carved the lead down to 8 at 21-13 with the extra point coming.
Well, and once again, they refuse to give in and continue to make this a football game. It's just kind of fun, teams going back and forth like this.
No, it makes it more interesting, and they have to be kicking themselves on the defensive side of the ball. This becomes apparent. Just has to be they have to do something right.
If you like defense, this is really ugly.
This time the extra point good by Larson, and the Eagle lead is 7 once more at 21-14. Well, Steve, this just has proven the point Mark and I have been making for years, that you can have exciting football even if you don't throw it. We've had one pass attempted in this game, and it's 21-14 with 7:25 remaining.
Yeah, you're right. I'm enjoying this.
We
I
can
may
go
come
home.
around.
We can go home sooner, too.
Yeah. Get to see Prep Sports Extra.
Well, the team from Spring Lake Park down to take a look. What do you think Nick Nitty, the defensive coordinator,
Well, I'll tell you what he's going to be dreaming about tonight. He's going to see a blue and gold 34.
If they are to win. Otherwise, he's going to see a 3-yard, 3-yard, 20-yard, 3-yard, 3-yard.
I think he may have nightmares about Hopkins even if they're not who they're going to play. Hopkins, who did not play in the Eagles' first 2 games this season, his first game back was against Spring Lake Park. He ran the opening kick of the game back for a touchdown. Hopkins fields this one and starts up the middle. He's caught and dragged down at the 30-yard line. And the Eagles will start there. 7:15 remaining. First half, Eagles 21, Wildcats 14.
Well, I would not kick it to Hopkins on the fly. At least make him go to one corner or the other to catch the ball.
And it looks like a pooch kick anyhow.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to do that, kick it wide or send it to a sideline or...
Yep.
Well, this will be interesting here. Track continues.
It's Hopkins into the secondary, and Hopkins could go all the way again. He will. Touchdown, Brian Hopkins. A 68-yard touchdown run his 3rd of the night and his 21st of the year.
Well, the track meet continues. No, and this is something that's just deflating for Chisago. They've done a good job to come back. And Tino Grace, we've seen 3 different plays go for touchdowns. It's not the same play over and over and over again that you have to stop. They're different plays all the time. You can see that this is just a straight dive, and it's all Hopkins after that, knifing through the defense. Just extremely poor defense on the Chisago side. There's no one even close to Hopkins.
On a bobble on the snap.
And the throw is incomplete. Not much the Eagles could do. Keenan, the intended receiver, on the throw by Newman. And the Eagle lead is 13 at 27-14. And Hopkins has every right to catch his breath over on the sidelines. 173 yards rushing already for the Eagle running back on only 6 carries. He's averaging nearly 30 per attempt.
Oh, this is his great vision, Mark, isn't it, on the open field?
Spectacular run, and not very surprising, but still spectacular.
You can tell there's experience there when the running back's looking around for a cutback and things of that nature.
You know, he just has that knack and that feel that coaches can't coach. You're just born with it.
Right.
And you know, he has that running back sense to feel where people are and cut at the right time. And
I tell you how you can coach it. Give him the ball and don't try and tell him anything.
Right.
Don't say anything to him to screw it up.
Just hand him the football.
I just screwed that one up. I had to try to talk to him about maybe catching the ball out of the backfield or something.
He's the team's leading receiver this year as well. On the run back, the Wildcats pinned fairly deep for the first time. This time they'll start from their 20 after Magnuson takes it back about 11 yards. They'll spot it at the 21-yard line. 6:57 remaining in the first half. And the Wildcats, who have scored on each of their last 2 possessions, will try and make it 3 in a row and hang in this game. They trail at 27-14. And we're not halfway through the second quarter yet. Scari's wide to the left, and Wahatka smothered in the backfield.
You know, Anthony's reminiscent of the Hill Murray Tino Grace game that we did a couple years ago. Back and forth.
Section final that year.
A great game.
Well, it's one of the most entertaining high school football games that I've ever seen.
On one of the poorest conditions
it was
to ever play a game.
Icy field. Everywhere else around the metro area, games were 7-0,
yeah.
10-7. Here they couldn't keep up with them on the scoreboard. Had a couple of kick returns for scores. Yep. 2nd and 10. Wahatka gives to Johnson straight ahead, and Johnson gains a yard or so. It's going to be 3rd and long for Chisago Lakes. Ball at 3rd and 9. Well, the Eagles have had scoring plays of 60, 70, and 68 here in the first half. Johnson, who has 2 touchdowns for Chisago Lakes, 14 carries, 43 yards. 3rd and 9, Wildcats, who are 2 out of 3 on 3rd downs. Wahatka reverse pivot down the line, and he's hit. The play a little bit slow to develop, and Wahatka is knocked down for a loss. It will be 4th and 10. Well played on the option that time. Craig Nelson, the end, waited, and then stapled Wahatka to the turf.
The Eagle defense did a good job this time as we see the end came across the line of scrimmage and kept things in front of him and forced him to turn it up. And when you do that, usually your buddies come to help you out.
Right. And you saw the pursuit coming from Alex Banks on the backside. Eagles thought they may use him a little bit tonight against that option. Hopkins on the return from his own 49-yard line, working his way through traffic, finally caught from behind, but it's a 15-yard return and a first down at the 36-yard line.
Well, and you get that sense that he could break it at any time tonight. You just have that feeling whenever he gets the ball, no matter if it's on kickoff or in the backfield.
Wildcats absolutely have to have a stop here. In danger of going down by 3 scores. Banks straight ahead. Barely hanging on to the football as he's dragged down. A gain of about 3. The 2nd down and 7. Rambasek on the stop. 81 yards on 3 carries for Banks here in the first half.
That's a game statistic for most people.
Some gaudy averages here as we approach halftime.
The Eagles as a team averaging 25.5 yards a carry at this point. 10 carries, 256 yards. And the Eagles penalized here. Looks like it's going to be procedure against the Eagles.
Now, false start on the offense. Down remains 2.
Second penalty against Totino Grace. Clock rolling with just over 4 minutes remaining here in the first half. And Hopkins, the carrier on this one, gains about 9. It will leave them 3rd down and 5, maybe 3rd and 6. And for the first time in the game, the Eagles faced with a 3rd down.
Boy, what do you do? Who do you give it to?
Well, the Eagles have had the football. This is the 5th time. 3 times they scored on their first snap. Thorvig keeps it on the option. And Thorvig has the first down to the 20-yard line. Gain of 12 yards on the play for Thorvig, who we talked about briefly in the open, Steve. And it's not a man that is going to beat many people with his arm. He's thrown for 558 yards this year. But you tack on his 450 yards rushing, and you have your 1,000-yard quarterback.
Your 1,000-yard quarterback, and you can just see the difference even in that run. Much more confident as he pulls the ball out. Heads right upfield. He knows what he has to do. It's a 3rd down. He's not skittish with the ball as he did last year a couple times. And then you might as well just give the ball back to Hopkins.
And Hopkins stopped just short of the goal line here. It's a gain of about 19. It'll be 1st and goal from the 1-yard line.
What is the state record for yards in the game?
It's 400. I don't remember.
But it was from Brainerd.
From Brainerd, yeah.
It was broken this year already, was it not?
Yeah, I believe so.
I know they've had something like 7 of the highest 20 rushing games in state history have occurred this season. Hopkins takes this one in for the score. Not a bad first half of work for Hopkins. His 4th touchdown of the game.
Just being a 1-yard run there kind of hurt the average.
Yeah. You want to get that first time when he had the ball 19 yards, keep that average up.
Yeah, we see it as a simple little dive that time, and the line got a good push. And
the extra point added by Frost. Eagles 34, Wildcats 14. 2:51 remaining here in the first half. And Hopkins has scored 4 times in this first half. Steve, if his career numbers were amazing coming in with 51 touchdowns, now jack it up to 55, and it's looking more and more like the Eagles will line it up on Saturday night where he'll have an opportunity once more.
With a lot of confidence. They look sharp offensively and defensively, except for those 2 scores, nice runs by Chisago. But the Eagles are gelling at the right time. You forget about those early season losses, and you know the things you're doing now are working, and you hopefully want to ride it, Mark.
well, and they are doing a fine job, but I think even they know that Saturday night they won't have the same kind of
They may not have the same kind of ease moving the football, but Hopkins a threat for the big play, no matter who is on the defensive side.
No question about that.
Frost to Scary from the 10. And Scary nearly breaks it and is stopped. They'll call it the 31-yard line. It'll be first down for the Wildcats from there. The Eagles defensively, I think, is the big question tonight. They're going to face a veer option offense, which is obviously different than the wishbone, but the same general idea. You're facing an option team.
And much better faking.
Well, and a team that's
much better.
Right.
But the bottom line is that's what you have to be looking at tonight, I think. And the defense has looked sharp at times, but has surrendered big plays.
And you wonder with the early lead if they didn't get lulled to sleep a bit from those two scoring drives with Sago. We'll see how it as it turns out here the rest of the game. But
Wahatka keeps on first down for a couple. And it will be second down and 8. But you know those Panther coaches across the field have already started in their minds, and there's some good defensive minds over there. Nick Nitti, Jeff Schlief.
Yeah, Schlief used to be the defensive coordinator at Mounds View before he took over at Spring Lake Park, so defense is at the forefront of building their football program.
Johnson takes this one straight ahead for about 6, and it will leave them 3rd and 3. And the Eagles have taken a timeout with 1:53 remaining here in the first half. Fans, make sure you join us this weekend here on KABL for the MIAC on KABL. A big matchup at St. Thomas as the Bethel Royals will do battle with the Tommies live at 1 o'clock here on KABL. And well, last week with a couple of upsets, the MIAC race wide open. Make sure you join us for that one. We'll be back with our prep football game of the week a week from Friday night, Halloween night, for the section finals. Matchup yet to be determined, but here 1:53 to go in the half, and the Eagles all over the Wildcats. They lead at 34-14.
we're worried that little girls put her tongue in the metal plate. They do that. That's what they do that.
The Eagles calling a timeout here shows some confidence in this defense, because obviously they're banking on the fact that they stopped them here and forced them to punt before the break. Third down and 3. Wahatka gives to Johnson, and he's stopped. I don't think he reached that first down stake. It'll be 4th and less than 1, and the Eagles will call their third and final timeout, forcing the Wildcats to punt this football.
Steve, would you punt the football in this situation?
Well,
I mean, if you're going to give it back to Hopkins,
stats.
Yeah, right. I just wouldn't want him to have it at all. I mean, what's the difference if he has it from the 40 or if he has it from the 30 back here? Don't give him the football. I'd run this. I'd take my chances. I mean, they have a better chance of so far here tonight of gaining 1 yard than they do of slowing Hopkins down with 1.5 minutes to go.
Well, that's an interesting point. I mean, conventional wisdom would say punt it.
Right. But this isn't been
this
conventional
hasn't
football.
been a,
And your kicking game has struggled a bit here in the first half. You're looking at maybe netting 20 yards with a punt.
Well,
you're giving it to them at your 40 or their 40.
Yeah.
Run the ball.
In this case, it becomes their best defense. It's an excellent point.
There's 1:44 remaining in the half. If you can get the first down, you have less than 1. Wahatka trying to draw him offside. Gives to Johnson, and he has the first down as he barrels forward for about 2. And the Wildcats convert on the 4th down, keep the drive alive. And now the question is, will they attempt to get the ball into the end zone before the half? And when you're down by 20, you almost have to, don't you?
Here's where this halfback pass that Mark was talking about earlier is something when you're lulling the defensive back to sleep with just one wideout. It could be a good time for it now. You've certainly set up the plays to run it.
And you look at the way the Eagles play the wideout. Scary alone wide to the left. Newman, the only defensive back there. He steps back and throws long down the middle. He had his receiver open. He was looking for his tight end, Ryan Rambasek, and just plain overthrew him. Wildcats sent 3 receivers straight up the field, and the Eagles only had 2 defensive backs.
Yeah, Rambasek that time just arc released from his tight end position, and like you said, headed straight up the field. We get another look. They tried to fake the dive and pull it and just overshot him.
2nd and 10, a minute 15 remaining.
Now here's a situation, if they're going to be throwing the ball, you may give it back to Tino Grace on downs because you're stopping the clock by incomplete passing.
Wahatka gives off to Itzen, and Itzen is stopped. Little, if any, gain. It will be 3rd down. But at this point, I take my chances. Throw it 3 times, or at least do whatever I can to get it in the end zone. You're down by 20 points. Now trying to play keep away from Brian Hopkins. You're not going to win the football game doing that.
Right.
Well, and now, you know, Chisago just burnt the timeout here. They obviously would like to pick up this 1st down.
And they're thinking score, too. You have to be thinking that way. You're right. We're up here playing devil's advocate because you have to be scratching your head if you're Chisago Lakes. I mean, nothing that they've done has even come close to slowing down anything that Tino Grace is doing. They've had their way.
It's 3rd and 10 here. Exactly a minute remaining in the half. Now, if you are going to talk about how you keep the ball out of the hands of the Eagle offense, however, you expect the Wildcats to put it up in the air again? I think you have to.
Well, I think they're probably going to go back to that arc release by the tight end and see if they can't stretch the defense that way. Totino, until that last possession, was just playing too deep with 9 men up.
And I'd like to see the fake in the line. Then you suck the linebackers up that much more. I mean, here's a situation where you're running play after play after play, the same look, the same formation. It only begs you to run the play action off of that because Tino Grace knows that they have to honor the run.
Johnson's the single setback here on 3rd and 10. Eagles show blitz. Wahatka down the line. He'll keep it on the option. Breaks 1 tackle. He's into the secondary. Wahatka with a 1st down and a lot more. He reaches the Eagle 36-yard line.
Wahatka with a nice run that time as he went down the line and saw an opening and decided to tuck it up, and it was a good run and at a big time too.
Big time.
Now that timeout that they spent looks real good. A little reverse option there.
Johnson on the option, straight ahead. Gain of about 4. And this will force the Wildcats to call a timeout. 39 seconds remaining, and the Wildcats have 1 timeout with which to work.
And if the extra points are an indication, we're not going to get a field goal out of Chisago Lakes. They definitely need to score.
Well, and that's why the handoff to the dive back perplexes you a little bit. They're going to get the ball first to start the 2nd half. If you get in the end zone here, you get the ball at the start of the 2nd half, and you can get within a touchdown.
Right. And it may be, we'll see, if you're going to run that play of the dive back, it could be setting up this next play for the timeout. We'll see. I don't know if there's that much forethought here, but we can do that up here. We have the luxury, Anthony.
Well, we have the offensive genius of Steve Varley up here with us.
That's why I'm in the booth and not in the sideline.
But 1-0 against these Eagles.
That's right. I can take that to my grave.
And 0 and whatever against the rest of the state.
0 for the rest of the state.
For the rest of the state.
Oh my.
2nd and 6 for the Wildcats. 39.7 seconds remaining. Now, Wahatka has completed only 8 passes this season. The Wildcats as a team have completed only 11. Tonight, Wahatka's 0 for 1. Sprint out to the right, throws caught by Magnuson, and Magnuson will score. Touchdown Wildcats, and it's 34-20. A 37-yard touchdown pass, the 4th touchdown pass of the year for Wahatka.
Don't throw the ball much, but There they did fake it into the line, and then went up top. It's
and not the most powerful throw.
No, he was getting
barely got out there. And his guy was amazingly open.
And this sets up what Anthony talked about. They're going to go in with the score. Now the situation, you're still going to have to kick off to Hopkins, and they could get a few more cracks at it.
The extra point, again, just barely good. Well, they could kick a field goal if they reach the 5-yard line because he has about 2 yards to spare on every one of those. It's 34-21 Eagles, 32 seconds remaining in the half.
And they may want to go with Steve Johnson's 2-point play from Bethel.
Yep. Here we'll see the touchdown again, the fake in the line. And that ball just barely getting to Magnuson, but he does a great job of getting to the pylon. Just a straight sprint to the pylon.
You know, everybody knew they were going to throw. They didn't run a real great pass play that time. I mean, he just fluttered one out there. And
first catch of the season for Magnuson, who's been a big part of this Chisago Lakes offense here in the first half. He came in when Ben Post went down with a knee injury. Magnuson entering play tonight, 17 yards rushing and no receptions. And here in the first half, he's rushed for 15 yards and caught a 37-yard touchdown pass.
And I like how Chisago stayed with their offensive plays. They're faking the ball at the same plays they've been running all game instead of the straight drop back, which they're not good at.
Well, at least they make Hopkins wait for the ball to come down this time, and Hopkins takes it straight ahead across the 40 to the 41. 27 seconds remaining in the half. And the way things have been going tonight, this is plenty of time for the Eagles to score. The Eagles have had 3 scoring drives of 2 plays or less.
Well, and they're going to get 2 plays here. They should anyhow.
I think you give the ball to Hopkins, he goes in the line, pitch it back to Thorvig for the flea flicker. It's got to be the call.
3 receivers wide to the left. Thorvig has time, steps up, throws for the sideline. It is caught and did not get out. He did get out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Eagles do not have a timeout remaining.
Thorvig's pass is complete, guys.
And apparently he did not get out of bounds.
Well, they've stopped the clock.
Of the year.
Well, just to move the chains.
Just to move the chains. Now they start it up. And Thorvig spikes it. Clock stops with 14 seconds remaining. And it's first down for the Eagles at the Wildcat 41-yard line.
No, I'm not sure in that situation. You just want to get out of bounds. There's no sense trying to get more yards. And then the event brings up second down.
Well, Thorvig officially 2 of 3 after spiking the football. But Thorvig, a great athlete. And even though he's not asked to throw very often, he showed some arm strength here. He wobbles one down the middle, and it is caught for the touchdown. The Eagles come back and hit the big play of their own and now lead it 40-21. Dan Keenan on the receiving end, his first touchdown catch of the year. And the Eagles may have just deflated the Wildcats, who had fought hard to get within 2 scores. Now it's back to a 3-touchdown lead.
Steve, would you kick it here or would you go for 2? Having missed it the last time, I would think this would be a good opportunity to go for 2.
See if they fake it here.
Frost with a kick. It is good. Eagles 41, Wildcats 21. 5 seconds remaining in the first half.
We still have time. You know, I never did memorize my little U of M, go for 2, go for 1. We always had that in our plays, but I never memorized it. I never remember.
Well, I didn't memorize it either, but I just figured if you missed it the time before.
Actually, they missed it 2 times before because they kicked the last time.
And I never could understand. We'll see the replay. You see Thorvig rolls out, buying himself some time. Not the prettiest of passes, but it gets to its mark. Great job by Grace with only 40 seconds left and no timeouts.
Keenan, who came into tonight with 4 catches for 106 yards. And, well, these cheerleaders are certainly not going to make it tonight.
No, the
41
is not gaining any friends with the cheerleading crew.
Frost to kick it off. Scary at the 16-yard line. And he takes it out to the 30. That brings us to the end of the first half. The Eagles score on all 6 offensive possessions, including one that begins with 32 seconds remaining in the half. Our score at the break, Eagles 41, Wildcats 21. Section 4 quarterfinal football continues in a moment.
Hello, listeners. This is Harold Siegel with FSG International, bringing you today's commodity market recommendation. We feel there are 3 reasons heating oil prices could increase substantially this year: an expected cold winter, increased tensions in the Middle East, and an overall bullish oil market. A supply and demand problem could increase prices substantially. Act now. Pick up the phone and call the number on your screen and learn how to trade the heating oil market. A speculator properly positioned in heating oil options could realize 100 to 200% profit potential. However, investors can and do lose money, so only invest risk capital. Act now. Pick up the phone and call the number on your screen and receive FSG's investor kit. And for the first 200 callers, a free video on commodity trading. Be one of the first 200 callers and receive FSG's video on commodity market trading. Act now. Pick up the phone and call the number on your screen and have a profitable day.
Are you tired of playing Twister with messy rope, tape, and twist ties? Then you need the Handy Bundler, the world's first endless tie wrap dispenser. No matter what the size, Handy Bundler tightens to a perfect fit every time and secures anything as easy as 1, 2, 3. Now neatly wrap cable and TV wires for a better appearance. Tie garbage bags tight in seconds. Look, ordinary tie wraps just aren't long enough, but the Handy Bundler's cord extends to any size. Large or small, it wraps them all. You'll find hundreds of uses for the Handy Bundler around the shop, at home, in the office, and on the job. You get the Handy Bundler, over 50 feet of durable nylon strapping, and 100 locking clips, all for $19.95. And it comes with this unconditional money-back guarantee. Order now.
Call 1-800-525-9966 or send $19.95 plus $5.95 shipping to the address on your screen. For faster delivery, call 1-800-525-9966.
Welcome back to Totino Grace. That score is correct. It is halftime, and it's 41-21 for the Eagles. We're joined by a very special guest here at halftime. Spring Lake Park head coach Jeff Schlief was here to do a little scouting tonight. A defensive coach at heart, you have to be just cringing as you watch this first half.
Yeah, a lot of points, a lot of yards. Totino's got more, but kind of reminds us, Coach Indy was saying, of our first year when we went up to Hutchinson. It wasn't quite this many points, but it ended up real wild, and it's tough as a defensive coach.
I know that you have seen these Eagles before. This is a different offensive team than you prepared for early in the season in week 3. Brian Hopkins at full strength. Is there anything you can do to slow a back of his caliber?
Well, what's tough is given we were joking up in the stands tonight, giving our own kids a look, that kind of look during the week. You know, it's a totally different offense than we run, and our scout team does a great job, but we don't have the backs that can give them that kind of look. And but we're pretty sound. I don't think we'll do a lot of things different. It's just that you have to bring them down. You know, when you get to them, you can't let them loose. You gotta make the tackle and get a lot of guys to them, and don't let them break loose. Kind of what when we played O'Neill last year from Cambridge. Same type of runner. If you don't let him loose, you're fine. If he breaks away, he's gone.
Well, and this team has some other weapons, too. You saw Banks go 70 for a score. Thorvig can make the big play as well. And you run the same type of offense at people, though, where you have so many different people that can beat them.
Yeah, they have a lot more misdirection than we do, but we do have some weapons with Olson's doing a nice job at quarterback, and biggest surprise has been Josh Sanders, our one running back, who hits like a train, and he's doing a great job. And Todd Cook, who's the all-time leading rusher at Spring Lake Park now, and with some of our receivers, Murphy at the tight end and Kenny Moore at the other one is doing a nice job, and Josh Koski and Chris Sellers at our receivers. There's a lot of weapons there.
What do you think about this setup this season? First year of sixth-class football. You're the #1 seed. You're on a bye. You have to love this, the opportunity to come and watch your next opponent, whoever wins here tonight. You also get a couple of extra days off to rest if you want them. Keep players away from physical contact for a couple extra days.
Yeah, it's definitely helping us. We'll find out Saturday night. Their advantage, they're coming in 1-0. We're 0-0, so they're on a streak, and you know, they've got 5 wins now in a row, and so they're rolling pretty good and on a good momentum deal there. But when you're #1, yeah, I like it. If I was number 4 or 5, I don't think I would like it so much.
When you look at this Eagle team, how different are they than the team you saw week 3? What's the one thing you look at and you say, wow, this is something that they're doing either better or differently than we saw way back in early in the season?
Well, they're running more of that option, and that takes a while to get used to when you're a wing T team and then run option. If you can do both, look out, and we see that now, and he does a nice job, the quarterback, at running that option. And I just think there's some complicated blocking schemes that those guys, and they're young and not real experienced, and now they are. Now they're playing, you know, the 11th graders are playing more like 12th graders, and they're pulling the right way, which helps, and things like, I mean, against us, they were doing some of that, and that happens. And so I think the offensive line, and I think Coach Niggin said that they're really starting to play better.
Well, enjoy the second half if you can, as you try and figure out a way to slow this offense.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
That's Spring Lake Park head coach Jeff Schlief. He and the #1 rated Panthers await the winner here tonight, Saturday in the Section 4 semifinals. Stay with us, some halftime highlights when we return. This is Prep Football 97 on KABF.
And just a gigolo,
Robert De Niro, Uma Thurman, Bill Murray.
paid for every dance,
Saved his life.
telling each romance.
I'm like a thank you present.
Oh, what they say.
Women.
I ain't got nobody.
Can't live with them, can't kill them. Mad Dog and Glory, October 24th on USA. The cure for the common show.
You sell these direct broadcast satellite dishes. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Senator. We sell DBS systems.
But isn't it true that DBS systems don't carry local programming?
There's nothing illegal about that.
But if someone has cable TV, they still get local programming, like local news, sports, and weather, for example.
When you sell someone a DBS system, do you tell them they can't get their local channels anymore?
I don't answer that. I don't have to answer that.
If you're thinking about DBS, you might want to think twice. Cable TV, the best value in home entertainment.
I don't have to answer that.
Pager. In the first half, here at Totino Grace, Brian Hopkins got the Eagles started the very first snap from scrimmage. He goes 60 yards for a touchdown, and the Eagles led 7-0 just 21 seconds into the game. It was 14-7 Eagles later in the half when Alex Banks went up the middle and went 70 yards untouched for a score, and the Eagles were in front 21-7. This a two-play 72-yard drive. It was 21-14 when Hopkins was at it again. This run by Johnson made it 21-14 for the Wildcats. And then late in the half, with the Wildcats trying to claw back into it, Magnuson hauls in this 37-yard pass from Wahatka. That made it 34-21 with 32 seconds remaining in the half. But the Eagles strike back. Thorvig hits Dan Keenan for 42 and a score with 5 seconds remaining, and it put Totino Grace in front 41-21. That's where we stand at halftime here at Jim Totino Field. Welcome back to our first playoff edition of Prep Football 97 with Mark Zimbrowicz and Steve Varley. I'm Anthony LaPanta. All offense in the first half. It's 41-21 Eagles as we check out the first half numbers. The Eagles with 372 yards of total offense. The Wildcats 225, and most impressively, guys, the Eagles 372 yards and only 18 offensive snaps.
Wow.
I don't have anything to say. That's incredible.
14 rushes for 296 yards.
Wow. Great average. Why throw it? I don't know. He can still put him a few times. I think he can still get it up there a few times. Well, the Wildcats will get the football first here in the second half. And they absolutely have to score. They must score every time they have the football here in the second half. If you figure you're going to get the football 5 to 6 times in a high school half of football, you must score 6 times in the second half because you know the Eagles have at least a big play or two left.
Yeah, they haven't done anything but their normal offense. There's nothing that they have done. If you're Chisago Lakes, it'll be interesting to see what they've done. I don't know if you totally go away from your defensive scheme, but they have to find something.
I think they should try 12 men.
That's what. That'd be the first start.
The kick by Frost. Magnuson lets it bounce, and once more the Wildcats will have to cover it at the 21-yard line, and their struggles on the special teams continue.
What was he doing?
He may have been deferring to Johnson's seniority as a senior. Just some miscommunication back there.
Take another look. Wildcats will start at the 21-yard line. Down by 20. That touchdown late in the first half may have been the backbreaker for Chisago Lakes. Instead of coming out here with a chance to get within a score, they face near desperation, down 41-21. Oaxaca gives to Johnson straight ahead, beat the blitz, but gains only 2, and it will be 2nd down and 8. Johnson, a productive first half by fullback standards in a wishbone offense. Johnson 19 carries for 59 yards.
Well, those are nice numbers for a half, but when you're right, with Chisago scoring at the end of the half, they're set up nicely here to bring in within a touchdown, but then they give up the score at the end. It's just baffling they have not done anything to even slow down the offense at Tino Grace.
Strange motion by the Wildcats, and it draws a flag. Oaxaca keeps it for about 4, and it will be 3rd down, but this flag will go against Chisago.
I'm not sure if that was just coming in as a late substitution or definitely a mix-up there.
The Eagles will accept the penalty and push them back 5.
Illegal procedure. 3rd down.
Well, you didn't get your explanation, Steve, but nonetheless,
No.
It's 2nd down and 13. Football back now at the 19-yard line.
And this is not the situation as a wishbone team that you'd like to be in. You must gain yardage on 1st down, and you can't afford penalties.
Oaxaca keeps it on the option and falls forward for a yard, but that's all, and it will be 3rd and long. Oaxaca 8 carries for 81 yards.
And Oaxaca did a great job in the first half. Once he got in the secondary, some nice moves in full stride to put some people on the ground and allow him to spring for some extra yards.
3rd and long for Chisago Lakes. They send their only receiver, Nassim, wide to the near side. Oaxaca on the pitch, gets it outside. Ibsen trying to turn the corner. He does, but is stopped, and it looks like it's short of 1st down yardage. Dan Keenan came up to make the hit for the Eagles.
Oh, and once again, had they picked up a block from the from their receiver, they would have been able to pick up that 1st down. We'll see. It was the corner on this side that was able to leave the receiver and come up and make a nice hit.
Yeah, real good job by Chisago. You're right. If they get a block, that springs for 1st down there. It's super fakes into the line by Chisago.
So the Wildcats forced to punt it and put it in the hands of Hopkins once more. He takes it from the 42-yard line. Couple of nice moves, breaks a tackle. Hopkins up the sideline, and finally ridden out of bounds by Nick Johnson. The Wildcats net about a half yard on this kick as Hopkins takes it back to the Chisago 29-yard line.
And why are you kicking to him?
Unless it's just a mix-up with the kids not doing what the scheme is, but as Anthony says, you're netting a half yard in the punt. You might as well just go for it every time.
Hello.
Split backs behind Thorvig. Gives to Lindstrath, sweeping to the right. And Lindstrath stumbles forward inside the 25 and down to the 23-yard line. Well, in talking with first-year head coach Bill Weiss here at Chisago Lakes, I asked him about Hopkins, and he said it's difficult to do anything special defensively because of the formations which the Eagles run their plays out of. He said it's difficult to do anything extra to try and take one particular halfback away. He said all we can do is ask our guys to make sure they're aware of where he is on every play.
Well, he's usually been in front of them.
Straight ahead, Banks has the first down to the 16-yard line. Gain of about 8 yards for Banks and an Eagle first down.
In that situation, I guess I would feel that you got to make somebody else beat you. I mean, the other guys may be good and dangerous, but they're not as good as Brian Hopkins is. I mean, that's why he's put up these kind of numbers. Make somebody else, force them to give it to someone else. Hit them on every play.
Banks crawls forward for 5 on this carry. And it will be 2nd and 5 for the Eagles.
Plus, you're also running into the fact that the other Eagle backs are only sophomores. So not only are they not probably the athletes that Brian Hopkins is, but they don't have the experience as well. You're putting more pressure on a younger underclassman.
So remember when Hopkins was a sophomore, 9 touchdowns and 41 rushing attempts. Here's Hopkins sweeping left, cuts it back to the secondary for the touchdown. Hopkins goes 13 for the score, his 5th rushing touchdown of the night, and the Eagles now lead it 47-21.
And a super cutback that time, just great individual effort as he got it across the line of scrimmage here. And as Steve said earlier tonight, he has fabulous vision, able to just cut it back in.
It's almost a shame that he hopes Chisago scores to keep Hopkins in the game to go after the state record. I think he's really got a shot.
Frost for the point after. It is good. Eagles 48, Wildcats 21. What a night for Brian Hopkins. 10 carries, 214 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Here's the 5th. Now I want to make sure that the cheerleaders here get to 48 on this one. And they barely made it to 41.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of fudging going on there.
Well, I'm glad that it doesn't spread to the broadcast booth because I know there aren't 48 here.
You'd be doing it by yourself. Farley and I would be at a warmer location.
Ross to kick it off for the Eagles. Scary from the 20-yard line. Spins off of one tackle and is out across the 30 to about the 32. That's where the Wildcats will start. 7:54 remaining. 3rd quarter. And the Eagles lead the Wildcats 48-21. And now the Wildcat offense with their 2nd possession of the 2nd half. Scored on 3 out of 5 offensive possessions in the 1st half, and yet we're down by 20 at halftime. Johnson straight ahead for a couple. Stopped at the 35-yard line. And it will be 2nd down and 8. Although, as you mentioned, Steve, that Hopkins may leave the field here in the second half. I'm not so certain if I'm the Eagle coaching staff that I don't want to leave my defense in here for the remainder of this game and continue to work against this option. Although it's a totally different look than they'll see in the Panther veer, it's still the option.
Well, you bring up a good point, Anthony. When do you start pulling guys? The rest period between now and Saturday is so small, and it's not a normal work week load for the Eagles at this point. And I think they really have to start pointing towards Saturday night now. Or when do you in this game?
But I think, and another point that Anthony brings up about the fact that you're watching this type of an offense, the veer is similar in the fact that you're going to have a couple of different reads to make each play. The more reps they get here at a game-type situation, the easier it becomes. They've already seen Spring Lake Park once this year. They can use that tape to also help the things. The kids know what to expect.
Oaxaca reverse pivot and is stopped at the line of scrimmage, maybe a yard.
Well, I think it's one thing to pick up some reps, but when you say, hey, let's get these guys some rest,
well, especially with the weather,
let's not get any more bodies banged up than need be.
Really, the first week we've had cold weather, too. You're looking at, pulled muscles, things of that nature, that when kids are going this hard, when it gets a little colder out.
2nd and 9 coming for Chisago Lakes. After the 1-yard run by Oaxaca, who's rushed for 82 yards on 9 carries. He's down the line on the option again, and this time thrown back by Brian Keenan, the lead tackler on this Eagle defensive unit. And again, Craig Nelson, the end, froze Oaxaca and allowed the pursuit to catch him from the inside, a loss of 2.
Great job just staying in the line of scrimmage and making Oaxaca coming down the line, make him, no one reacted to him, so he tried to cut it up, and they were right there, right in the line of scrimmage.
Well, they've made some nice adjustments at halftime because it's been very slow getting that option rolling here in the second half. They have done a good job of their ends are coming across, and they've got a guy on the pitch back, and they're forcing things up.
3rd and 11 for Chisago Lakes. Oaxaca caught in the backfield and dropped. John Darris got him. A loss on the play of 3 yards, and the Eagle defense has stopped them for the 2nd consecutive possession. Darris, who leads the team with 4 sacks here, grabs Oaxaca for a loss of 2.
There's the great play from behind.
And now let's see if the Wildcats again kick it directly at the deep man Hopkins. He at least has to run a little bit. Fields from the 30, turns it up, and Hopkins with 12 on the run back takes it to the 42-yard line. 4:34 remaining in the 3rd quarter, and the Eagles start at their 42 to try to add to a 27-point lead.
I think that they have, well, I don't see Hopkins in there. I see him coming over to the bench here. So they are trying to get some other guys involved.
You mentioned, Anthony, that Hopkins had to run a little bit for that ball, but I'd be kicking it towards the sidelines if I was Chicago Lakes at this point.
Lindstrom trying to sweep to the right, and he stopped after a loss of a couple. Well, the Eagles apparently feel confident in the fact that their defense has stopped the Wildcats on 2 possessions here, that has put this game out of reach. And Hopkins leaves the game with about 4 minutes remaining here, 3rd quarter. 214 yards and 5 touchdowns under his belt. Hanks takes it straight ahead. And a correction, it's actually backup fullback Ben Stitch on the carry that takes it out to midfield. A gain of about 12 will leave them 3rd and 1.
Good run there, putting his nose down and getting 2 or 3 yards after the first initial hit by the Chisago Lakes. Wildcats gets them close to a first down.
Stitch back in at fullback. Lindstroth in motion to the near side. They give to Stitch, who twists straight ahead and has the first down to the Wildcat 48-yard line. And the Eagles keep the drive alive. First down for the Eagles. 3 of 3 converting third downs. And have scored on their first 7 possessions of the night. Thorvig facing a blitz. A fumble on the play, and the Wildcats recover at the 45-yard line.
On the play recovered by the Wildcats.
And the Eagles turn it over for the first time tonight. And for the first time, their offense is stopped.
First and 10 for Chisago Lakes from their own 46-yard
Stopping themselves,
line.
not something Chisago Lakes did. But
Right. You know, this is something that you've played so well offensively up to here. You don't want to make these kind of mistakes now. You don't want to take away from what you've done.
Wahatka and the Wildcat offense back to work. Johnson takes it straight ahead and bowls forward for 5 out to midfield. So you remember last March, an underrated, perhaps, and big underdog Wildcat basketball team bounced these Eagles from the state basketball tournament.
Yeah.
And a performance that was nearly flawless. Tonight they have not been able to execute the same way against a vaunted Eagle offense that is not disappointed. And their offense, which has been productive tonight, trails by 4 touchdowns. Magnuson off the left side of the line for 4 down to the Eagle 46, and will leave them 3rd and a short 2.
well, that just shows the kind of game this is, the kind of offensive explosion we're seeing from the Eagles. Chisago Lakes has done a good job offensively. In a normal situation, they'd probably be leading or even closer in the game, but here just a blowout.
Yeah, they've played pretty good football offensively. Just defensively. Well, and the other side has played better.
Johnson straight ahead and has enough for the first down. Inside the Eagle 45 and down to the 43-yard line. Wildcats keep their drive alive. Johnson 22 carries, 69 yards. And Wahatka again with a wishbone behind him. He keeps it, gets to the outside, is spun around and dropped. It looked like he had daylight to the outside, but is dragged down at the 35-yard line after a gain of 8.
He really accelerates once he gets that ball out of the
He does. He reads things well, and he's able to. He makes good decisions as when he should keep it himself and turn it up.
A minute, 5 seconds remaining here, 3rd quarter. And on the straight off tackle, bit of a new wrinkle. Ibsen takes it down to the 30. That's enough for another Wildcat first down. And it'll be a first down for the Wildcats. This an impressive march for Chisago Lakes.
But unfortunately, they're eating a lot of clock up.
They are. And that may be the biggest problem for them the rest of the way. Here, Wahatka stumbles forward inside the Eagle 25 and down to the 23. It's a gain of 7. As we're now inside a half minute remaining 3rd quarter. Eagles leading the Wildcats 48-21. They led them 41-21 at halftime.
Steve, as a former quarterback, how do you feel about a guy wearing 81?
Well, as Anthony said before.
Johnson with a first down carry inside the Eagle 10 and down to the 9-yard line. It's a gain of 14. That's usually a pretty good indication.
Yeah. Shows a little personality, though. I like that.
If he had the face mask with the bar down the middle, then you'd really know you were.
Wow. Then we'd know.
They'll try and get one more play off before the third quarter ends. They do. And it's Wahatka diving forward for about a yard, and that's all. That's the end of the third quarter here from Totino Grace. Our score after 3, Eagles 48, Wildcats 21. Section 4 football continues in a moment. Jim Totino Field. Eagles leading the Wildcats 48-21, due in large part to that man, Brian Hopkins, who carried 10 times tonight and scored 5 touchdowns, including runs of 60 and 68 yards. And the Eagle defense now with their backs to the wall at their own 8-yard line. Wildcats facing a 2nd down and goal. Desperately trying to get back in this game. Wildcats have never reached the state football tournament. The Eagles have been regulars there, advancing in 92, 94, 95. Lost in the section finals to Montemedi last year. Also in the section finals in 93 as well. They've reached the section finals every year since 1990. Wing formation this time. Itson goes in motion, and Johnson takes it straight ahead on the option inside the 5 and down to the 4. It's a gain of 3, and it will be 3rd and goal for the Wildcats.
Johnson, a nice looking back, 6 feet, about 200 pounds.
Yeah, he does a nice job hammering up exactly what you need in the wishbone, and he's been a workhorse in there tonight.
Cuts back nicely.
Certainly the Wildcats in 4-down territory here. They face 3rd and goal from the 4. Wahatka pitches to Itson, and Itson dives in for the touchdown. A 4-yard touchdown run for Nick Itson. And the Wildcats take a bite out of the Eagle lead. It's now 48-27.
You got to be impressed with the way they haven't packed it in yet.
No. I mean, 27 points is a lot of points to score. I mean, normally you're right in the thick of things.
Just the 3rd touchdown of the year for Itson. And Larson on for the point after. And the kick hits the crossbar, and it's no good. Well, he's cleared that crossbar by less than a foot on every previous extra point. This time, the ball wobbling at the wrong time. Catches the crossbar. The point no good. It's 48-27 Eagles, and here's another look at the Itson touchdown run.
He did a nice job on the option. He read it perfectly, and Itson knew exactly where that goal line was and had just enough to get there.
They ran the option out of the wing formation rather than the wishbone. The Eagles had played that option fairly well out of the wishbone here during the second half.
Oh, and just like a high jumper, not quite getting over that time, as they must have raised the bar.
I'm sure the Eagles prepared for the onside kick. 11:19 remaining here, 4th quarter. And the Eagles have to be expecting it here.
They still have.
They don't exactly have the hands team in.
No.
No. They have the up-backs up there a little bit, but
now Keenan and Hall move up a couple of yards, but Wildcats shift into an apparent onside formation. There it is. Gets the high hop that you need, but it does not go 10 yards. Everybody waits, and finally the Eagles will take over. Boy, the onside kick had everything they needed, and in fact the Wildcats were in perfect position to field that. The Eagles were nowhere to be found. If that ball bounces again, it's Chisago football.
Yep. You know, and if you're Totino, you should go after it, even though it hasn't crossed that, because what had happened, their guys all came down and sort of blocked them out.
Around. Yeah, you're right, Anthony. That's a great job of Chisago. The ball just didn't go 10 yards.
Thorvig rolling right, wants to throw downfield. It's caught by Hall, who's knocked out of bounds at the 31-yard line. It's a first down on a gain of 18, the second catch of the game for Andrew Hall.
Well, and again, I just like the way this play develops. It's a classic bootleg. Thorvig waiting is just great form. Waiting for Hall to break across the middle. Completes it for the first down.
Thorvig hands it off to Stitch, who stumbles inside the 25 and down to the 24. It's a gain of 7. Well, you have to start to think, if you're the Eagles, about Saturday night's game with Spring Lake Park. And I'm not certain you want to show them anything that they haven't already seen here tonight. And we kidded with offensive coordinator Paul Gassner here for the Eagles at halftime about his lack of creativity offensively, and he may say, hey, Hopkins is out of the lineup, let's throw it a little bit, but I don't think you want to show them anything that they haven't seen already in tonight's game.
No, why? Why would you want to do that?
Well, especially the way Totino went up to Cambridge and beat them. They showed them a little new wrinkle, and it ended up giving them a nice little, confused Cambridge enough to take that game from them.
Beaucamp, the ball carrier here, gains 5 after fumbling on his last carry. 10.5 minutes remaining, and the Eagles lead by 21. They're at the Chisago Lakes 19-yard line. Thorvig gives on the sweep right. Lindstraw takes it down just shy of the 10-yard line. Knocked out of bounds at the 12. Gain of about 7. Eagles very excited about Lindstrath as a sophomore in their backfield. 6 feet 180 right now, and Dave Niggin described him as a back who looks like he has a future to be about 6'2", 215 to 220. I asked right away if he envisioned him then as the fullback, and he said no, he's a halfback.
That was our offensive alignment.
Flag on this one will negate the run by Lindstrath.
Holding, offense, down and manage first.
It's a hold against the Eagles. 3 penalties against Totino Grace for 30 yards. So it's first down from back at the 30. Call it 1st and 21. Thorvig on the bootleg. Looking long this time, but he overthrows everybody. Trying to find Tony Iden. And it will bring up a second down and 21.
Well, he had his man. He just threw it where no one else is going to get it. It's going to be a great catch. He just put a little too much on that one.
Thorvig has a strong arm. They don't ask him to throw very often.
No, but I just like the progress he's made from junior to senior. It's much fun.
Stitch straight ahead, has room into the secondary and barrels to the 10-yard line. It will leave the Eagles a 3rd and 4. Excuse me, a 3rd and 6 from the 10-yard line. They need to reach the 4.
Well, we're seeing just some same plays you're always going to see out of this offense. As you mentioned, you don't want to give the Panthers anything else to, or anything that may, you don't want to show your hand, so to speak. These plays are still working fine.
Stitch straight ahead, and he is inside the 5. Down to about the 2-yard line. But a hold against the Eagles once more.
Well, these are the things you don't want to have this type of play now. You're up 21 points. You want to keep it mentally in the game. You can't, this tends to tarnish the things you've already done. You listen to the call.
Offense. Down remains 3.
So they're back now at the 23-yard line, staring at a 3rd and about 14. Keenan is wide to the right. Thorvig on the bootleg, rolling out, throws over the middle, caught by Hall, who has the first down to the 4-yard line. So for the 3rd time, the Eagles convert a first down, and this one will finally stand on the 19-yard gain, and that's 3 catches for Hall.
That was a nice pass by Thorvig that time on the move, and a good catch by Hall.
No, on the run, gets his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, and good job by Hall after the tip.
Just over 9 minutes remaining here, 4th quarter, and the Eagles looking for more. Beaucamp sweeping left, falls forward to about the 2-yard line, and it will be 2nd and goal. 3 carries for 10 yards for Beaucamp. Eagles getting some valuable playing time. We've talked each year about how important it is for players to get experience in these kind of games. You need to look no further than Brian Hopkins, who made that run during his sophomore season. Eagles reached the state semifinals, the Metrodome that year. Here, Lindstrom sweeps right and goes in for the touchdown from 2 yards out. His 2nd touchdown of the year, and the Eagles now lead it 54-27.
And not only did Hopkins get some valuable playing time, was involved in some very key plays. Put in right away in some tough 3rd down plays, and Coach Nigan and the staff went to him on some crucial passes out of the backfield. Just got him some, you know, usually you're putting kids in scores like this as sophomores, but the good programs put in their younger players in key situations to get them that experience.
Remember, it was really his coming out party in that game here against Still Murray. He had a kick return, he had caught a pass that put them in position to score. Frost's kick is good, but there's no substitute for postseason experience, regardless of the sport, at the high school level.
And even if you didn't play as a junior, the program, if they've gone, you know the surroundings, you've been in the dome, those things don't surprise you. It all goes back to the program.
And we talked about it last year when Blaine made their run to the Prep Bowl, that they essentially had an extra 8 weeks of practice over teams that ended their season tonight.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the winner here tonight, Totino Grace, is going to have a big task at hand to earn 2 weeks of practice, because they must beat Spring Lake Park on Saturday night to keep this season alive. But nonetheless, just to win a playoff game like this with this many sophomores on the roster, this Eagle team gets a feel for winning in a playoff game, and now they can continue this momentum. It's 5 wins in a row. Try and carry it up Highway 65 to Spring Lake Park on Saturday night. Long kick by Frost, taken by Scary from the 6-yard line, and he's stopped at the 21. 8:15 remaining, and the Wildcats will start from their own 21-yard line. And the Eagles will keep that starting defensive unit on the field at least one more series.
Well, you don't want to see any chippiness here. You got some people who are playing for Chisago, probably their last game. The seniors are going to be out there, and you just want to make sure that everyone keeps it clean here as we end up this last 8 minutes. I'm always concerned about sportsmanship, Mark.
Well, that's good, and you know, sometimes it happens. I don't think we've seen any reason here tonight to expect that.
And now a flag flies long before the snap. The Wildcats came up in a wing T formation once again.
False start, offense, first down.
It's been a relatively penalty-free game. 2 penalties against the Wildcats for 10 yards. Eagles have been penalized 4 times for 38. But the amazing numbers were compiled in the first half when the Eagles rolled up 372 yards of offense. Wahatka thrown down in the backfield as he was looking to throw. Lost back to the 11-yard line will bring up a second down at about 19.
Well, and they're really in a tough situation now. They're forced to throw the football. It's something they don't do, and don't do as well as they run the football. So this is a really hard situation for them to be in right now.
Call it 2nd and 20 from the 11-yard line. And you have to go back to that scoring play by the Eagles in the final 30 seconds of the first half.
Right.
Wildcats had scored to make it 34-21, and the Eagles took over the football with 32 seconds to play. As here John Darris on the stop. Actually, it's Steve Bazal, not Darris, on the defensive play, but a gain of about 2, and it will be 3rd down and 18.
No, I think that was the critical point of the game. If Chisago Lakes can hold the Eagles and then come out and score, it gets it within, I believe, a touchdown.
Could have, and they did come out and score. You know, it could have been a 34-28 ball game. Instead, it was 41-21 at halftime, and the Eagles were coasting.
41 points is a lot of points in a football game. Like going at halftime, and whether you're on the Totino side and be excited that you scored 41, or on the Chisago side where you're just in awe.
I think had you told the Wildcats they'd have 21 at halftime, they'd have been happy with that number.
Hey, we're in good shape.
This is a team that averaged, as we mentioned, about 16 points a night during the regular season. Newman is the deep man for the Eagles. He takes it on the run, starts up the right sideline, and Newman has the Eagles in good field position once more as they're inside the Wildcat 30-yard line at the 27. 6:54 remaining, and the Eagles in business once more.
And the Eagles in business is right. They'll just come here with their same plays that Chisago has not stopped all night.
Mike Holt now in at quarterback for the Eagles. And they hand off to the fullback Stitch, who twists inside the 25 down to the 24, a gain of about 3. Five carries, 38 yards for Stitch tonight. And the Eagles looking to add another score, which would put them over 60 points tonight. Wolf on the option. Fumbles the football, and it looks like the Wildcats have it. And they do at the 29-yard line. The second turnover for the Eagles tonight. And this one negates the big punt return by Newman that had the Eagles in position to score. And with 6:18 remaining, Chisago Lakes takes over.
On there may be a situation you're sitting on the sidelines the entire game. It's a little cold out here tonight. Not used to getting popped like this.
Yeah, it's a little different trying to hold on to the football in cold weather.
Wahatka gives to Johnson. Johnson breaks one tackle, runs through the tackle of Newman, and has a first down. Out to the 39-yard line. And we'll have to wait and see here. There's an injured Wildcat player. And Johnson may just be wearing down. He's been the workhorse tonight. That last carry is 25th of the game. And let's not forget, this Wildcat bunch lost Ben Post, their big play running back, on the first offensive series.
No, and Magnuson has stepped in nicely to fill his shoes, but that, that's a blow. You get someone like that who has led the team all year. We remember a couple years ago, Jude for the Eagles, he gets knocked out of the game. It takes him out of your rhythm, and Magnuson's did a good job to fill that void. As obvious as the Wildcats have scored 27 points, but just not enough.
A reminder once again that this weekend here on KABL, the MIAC returns. Saturday at 1 o'clock, live from O'Shaughnessy Stadium, the Royals and the Tommies. Bethel's back in the race. After St. John's upset Concordia last weekend, the Tommies are back in a first-place tie at 5-1 in the MIAC. Royals will face the Tommies this week, the Johnnies next week. The big one this week, Concordia-Augsburg over at Augsburg, a battle of teams tied for first.
And that sounds strange, saying Augsburg in a big game, but they really have put together a fabulous football team this season. They can move the ball.
They can. They'll give the Cobbers certainly a run for their money. Augies still have Bethel on their schedule in the Metrodome, the final weekend of the season. Magnuson takes this one straight ahead for a yard after Johnson's helped off the field. Our prep football game of the week will return a week from Friday night, Halloween night, for a section final. The teams and matchups, of course, yet to be determined. Could very well be in this section. Spring Lake Park or Totino Grace, Bonavita and North St. Paul on the other side of the bracket. Oaxaca takes this one straight ahead out to the 48-yard line. It'll be very close to a first down. Potential for a Tartan-Hastings matchup. In Section 3, 5A, Mounds View White Bear possibly in Section 4. Gain of about 7 for Oaxaca, and it will be 3rd and 1. Of course, Blaine to match up with likely either Anoka or Champlain Park. In Section 7, Magnuson takes this one across midfield for a first down to the Eagle 49.
Potential Northfield versus Faribault matchup in Region 1 4A, Mark. I know you'll want to watch that one.
Is that in Iowa?
South Dakota.
Well, I knew it was south. I just wondered if it had made it all the way to Iowa yet. I did read in today's paper that there's a team ranked #1 in their class, but seeded #2 in their region. Holly, Minnesota, is ranked #1 in the state.
Ranked #2 in their region.
I don't know what A they are, but because of the opponent's record and records being better, they are seeded #2.
Wildcats give it to Piper straight ahead, and his second carry in a row gets them a first down to the Eagle 38-yard line. We used to see some strange seedings in sections where it was based on point systems, where we've seen teams certainly ranked higher. I don't ever recall a situation where it was a team ranked #1 that was not a #1 seed.
Yeah. Well, I know that Lakeville in a number of years used to really get shafted down in 1.
In fact, there were years where they were rated in the top 5 and seeded 5th in Section 1AA.
Right.
It's because they played the likes of Northfield. We were all Class A.
Well, I think the year they won the state tournament,
they were a 4 seed.
4 seed.
Because all of the Big 9 schools refused to seed them. It was a voting system then. It was not a point system.
It was a jealousy system.
It was. And they would seed them 4. In fact, one year they were seeded 5th and had to go on the road in the first round, then play the 1 seed on the road in the second round.
Yeah. And spanked them both.
Scary on the reverse loses 7. Now they pitch to Itzen sweeping right, and Itzen fights his way down to the 32-yard line. Gain of about 13 will still leave them short of the first down, as we're now inside 3 minutes remaining here. And the Eagles putting the finishing touches on an impressive night as they lead it 55-27. Another look at the carry by Itzen. 7 carries, 42 yards for Itzen tonight. It's 3rd and a long 3. Magnuson off the left side has the first down as he fights down to the Eagle 25-yard line, a gain of about 7. 16 first downs for the Wildcats tonight. Eagles have 13.
I think if you give the Wildcats the stats before the game, they think their chances are pretty good. A nice offensive show here, just defensively they haven't been anywhere near the field.
2 minutes remaining. The Eagles will face Spring Lake Park at Spring Lake Park on Saturday night. Wahatka rolling right. He'll run with it and is ridden out of bounds at the 20-yard line. A gain of about 6 for the Wildcat quarterback, and that puts him over 100 yards rushing for the night. 18 carries, 104 yards.
Well, and he's done a super job tonight running the football. And, you know, when you're an option quarterback and you compile 100 yards, you've had a pretty good night. It's just...
also threw a touchdown pass. 2nd and 4 from the Eagle 20. Magnuson comes in motion. They give to Piper straight ahead, but he was tripped up before he reached the line of scrimmage. And it will push them back to a 3rd and 5 from the 21. Single receiver comes wide to the near side with the full house backfield. Behind Wahatka. Wahatka steps back, wants to throw, looks over the middle, tipped and incomplete.
Well, he had him, and if you'd have let him just a little bit more, he may have had a touchdown, but it was a super play by the defensive back for Totino as he went up and got a piece of the football.
No, he played the ball versus just watching the receiver.
Schmitz probably should have had the interception on the play, but did make a nice play nonetheless. Nassim had a step on him. It's 4th down here, and the Wildcats will go for it. Eagles show blitz. They're coming. Wahatka pitches to Itzen, and he is stopped in the backfield, dropped for a loss, and the Eagles hold the Wildcats after an impressive 11-play drive. And with just 1:04 remaining, the Eagles take over deep in their own territory.
Well, again, a nice drive, adding to the stats, but they're not able to capitalize.
So the Eagles will start from the 23 with 1:04 on the clock. Holt continues at quarterback for Totino Grace. And appeared to bobble the snap, just falls on it.
Bobble on the play, recovered by Holt. No gain, 2nd and 10.
And it will be 2nd and 10. Eagles have fumbled 3 times tonight, lost 2 of them. All after the reserves were in the lineup offensively. Volkamp takes it here for a couple, and will be 2nd and 6. 3rd and 6, excuse me, after a gain of 4. Hopkins the story tonight. That's probably the final snap, but his running in the first half led the Eagles to a lead from which the Wildcats could never recover. 214 yards rushing for Hopkins on 10 carries. He scored 5 touchdowns, and the Eagles will now advance